This podcast is produced by the Harwood Productions Podcast Network. To learn more about the network and to find more of our shows, visit us online at www.harwoodpodcast.com.
Hi, I'm Cindy Harris, and in this episode I'm going to share with you one of my family's favorite desserts. It's called Pineapple Cheesecake. It's a really luscious and creamy cheesecake filling topped with sour cream and pineapple. We're first going to start by making our graham cracker crust. Now, if you're in a pinch, you can buy a pre-made graham cracker crust if you'd like. But if you have the time, do make a homemade one. They taste so much better. So what we have to start with is some graham cracker crumbs. So I just buy regular old graham crackers, and I put some of them in a zip bag here, and I seal all but about the last inch, and then I take my rolling pin and I mash them up. So I start by bashing them like this, and then I use the rolling pin this way and I roll them because I want really, really fine crumbs. I'm going to take my crumbs and I'm going to measure out 1.5 cups. That ends up being about 9 graham crackers. Now in a small bowl, I'm going to take my graham crackers, crumbs, I'm going to add 1/3 cup of sugar, and I'm going to stir that up really well. Then I've melted 1/3 cup of butter, and I'm going to put that right in the bowl, and I'm going to use a spoon, and I'm just going to mix this together. Once the butter and the graham crackers and sugar are mixed together, this should start to look like wet sand. Now, once your crumbs are nicely moistened, I have a 9-inch pie dish, and I'm just going to pour all of those into the center. I'm going to take my spoon, I'm going to kind of level them out just a little bit. And now I'm going to use my 1/3 cup measuring cup, and I'm going to sort of press it down and then press the crumbs up the side of the pie dish like this. Now the object here is to get a pretty even coating of crumbs in this pie dish. So you just kind of work it around like this, compacting the crumbs as you go. So you can see I've started with the bottom, and it feels like it's pretty level on the bottom. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to my fingers, and I'm just going to press those crumbs down up the side and on the lip of this pie dish. So that looks really good. I've preheated the oven to 350 degrees, and I'm going to pop this in and I'm going to let it bake for about 4 to 5 minutes. And the way I know when it's done is it's going to be a little bit more golden brown, and I'm going to start to smell the graham crackers in the kitchen. That's as far as we want to go with it. So let's go on and start the filling for our cheesecake. Now, obviously we have to use cream cheese, and this is Philadelphia cream cheese, and these come in 8-ounce blocks, and we need actually 12 ounces of cream cheese. So I'm going to be using 1.5 packages of this. So in my mixing bowl, I'm going to put in 1.5 packages of cream cheese, again 12 ounces. I'm going to start mixing this on a low speed, and then I'm going to add 2 eggs, one at a time, then 3/4 cup of sugar, 2 teaspoons of vanilla, and 1/2 teaspoon of fresh lemon juice. This lemon juice makes all the difference in this cheesecake. And I'm going to let this mix together actually for just a couple of minutes. Now my crust has come out of the oven. It's nicely browned, and it was about 4 minutes when I started to smell the graham crackers baking, so I took it right out. And I've put it on a rimmed baking sheet because I find that this is easier to get in and out of the oven when I have my cheesecake filling inside. So now I'm going to take my filling, I'm going to give it a final scrape down in the bowl, and you're going to find that this is not totally smooth, and that's fine. Don't worry about it, because the little bits of cream cheese will totally melt and you won't notice it. And so all I have to do now is put it right into the pie shell. And then I'm going to take my spatula and just move it around like this so it's nice and even. Now my oven is still on from baking the crust, so now I'm going to take the filled cheesecake and I'm going to put it in and bake it for about 30 minutes. So this is our cheesecake just coming out of the oven. You can see it gets a little bit of some browning on top. I'm going to leave this here, and now we're going to make our sour cream pineapple topping. Now for the pineapple part of our topping, I like to use pineapple that is in syrup. Now a lot of pineapple these days is in pineapple juice, which is great if you're having a fruit salad or something. But for this dish, you really want to have it in syrup because it adds an extra sweetness to the topping. Now, when my family first started making this cheesecake recipe, oh gosh, 40 plus years ago, we were able to find little flat cans of crushed pineapple in the syrup, but we can't find that anymore. So what I'm having to do is take chunk pineapple that's in syrup and I drain it, and then I'm going to chop it up. So here's the chunk pineapple, and I'm just going to take my knife and I'm going to basically turn it into crushed pineapple or just finely chopped pineapple. Now it's important with this topping that we not have any big chunks of pineapple because it makes it hard to cut through the cheesecake if you have a big chunk of pineapple on top. So just continue to run your knife through until you get this nicely chopped up and, again, pretty fine. Now this is about the consistency I wanted, and you can see that by chopping it up, I've released a lot of the juice, which we don't want in our topping. So what I'm going to do is take a little strainer, and I'm going to put that pineapple that I've just chopped up through the strainer, get more of that juice out. Because what I really want to end up with is 1 cup of drained pineapple. In a small bowl, I'm going to take my 1 cup of finely chopped pineapple. I'm going to measure out 1 cup of sour cream. Now for this recipe, you do need to use regular sour cream. In any recipe where I can get by using a light or a non-fat, I do. But because we're going to be baking this topping a little bit more in the oven, we have to go with regular sour cream so that it doesn't break apart in the oven. So here's 1 cup. I'm going to add that to my pineapple. 3½ tablespoons of sugar and 1 teaspoon of vanilla. I'm going to mix this together real well. And now I'm going to spoon that pineapple topping on top of the cheesecake. And then with my spoon, I'm just going to very gently push that pineapple topping till it just touches the end of the graham cracker crust. I don't want it to go over the crust because that'll make it tricky when I go to serve it. So just have it so that it just meets the edge of that crust. And then I'm just going to take the back of my spoon and kind of smooth that out so it's nice and even. Now my oven is still on from baking the cheesecake, so I'm going to take this and put it back in the oven for 10 minutes. And here is our pineapple cheesecake. Now we'll need to let this sit here for about a half an hour to bring it down to more of a room temperature, and then we'll cover it with plastic, and it needs to go in the refrigerator and get totally cold before we can slice it. My family's been enjoying this pineapple cheesecake since I was a little girl. So if you'd like to give it a try, just go to our website, visit the Sweet World show notes, and I'll have the recipe there for you. And as always, if you have any questions, please feel free to send me an email. I'll see you next time.